was really working hard on this past months on getting this experience rebranded. Really happy that it's finally here. I would say that my favorite community is food at Microsoft. Not only I get to see the amazing food that is available on every campus, but there's also a lot of recipes. So I get hungry in between meetings when I go in and see the post available in that community.
Love it.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go pick your poison. Yeah, who's next?
I was gonna pick Evelyn.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Evelyn here, product manager for our mobile experiences, from our iOS and Android Viva Engage apps to our team's mobile and browser experiences. So it's been quite a fun ride for all of us here with the rebrand. I would say my favorite, I think you both gave great ones. The customer connection was a great one, especially through the rebrand. But I think my favorite is probably the one we have for our Viva Engage team, with us all being hybrid and it being such a large team. It's really the easiest way for me to keep up with what on earth is going on across the product as a whole. So that's my favorite. I'll pass it off to Holsty.
Hi, thanks. My name is Michael Holsty. I'm a senior product marketing manager for historically what was Yammer and what is now excitingly Viva Engage. I gotta say, it's definitely a tie for my favorite community between the Viva Engage customer connection community, where we get to hang out and share and communicate and share news and tell stories and engage with all of the folks who are great customers, and many of you who are hopefully on the call today. But the other community that I'm a huge fan of is our senior leadership community that was formerly known as the CEO Connection community. It's a community that we use for Satya Nadella and his senior leadership team at Microsoft, and it really serves as a proving ground where we test out a lot of the new kind of premium experiences we have, like Leadership Corner and campaigns. Historically, it's where we've had a lot of Yammer Live events as well. And we share the successes that happen in this community through our blogging platform and really build these into the product. And it's just cool to see it all come to life in the strategy and the design that we build this product with, to see our own leadership team using it and getting huge benefits out of it. It's really rewarding. And with that, I'm going to pass it down the line to Steve.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I lead our customer engagement team within our Viva Engage product and engineering team. I'm going to go a little different route. My favorite person to follow actually on our network is Chris Capicella. He's our chief marketing officer here at Microsoft. And what I love about it is he posts a variety of posts, both from things that are impacting Microsoft and our business, his perspectives as a leader. But you also see him post in places like, we have I forget what the exact name of the community is, but Netflix and all of the things you can watch, and people post about like all the things that they're binging. So he'll talk about shows that he and his daughters are watching and binging. He also posts in our Dogs at Microsoft community, so we get to see a view of he and his family and his pets as well. So I love the holistic view that Chris shares about himself. I'm going to pass it over to Aditi.
Hey everyone, I'm Aditi. I'm the PM on the Viva Engage team for API and CERT. My favorite community is an internet community called Product Ideas and Talk. And I really love going over the conversations there because like-minded people, not necessarily all product managers, people from sales and support, everybody comes together to discuss their product ideas. And as a PM, I know that the best ideas don't always come from you. They can come from anywhere. So having a platform where, everybody is compiling their ideas and discussing things in which we can make a product better. I really love the platform Viva Engage that provides us with. So that's my favorite. I'll pass on the baton to Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily, and I am the PM leading the entire notifications and now digest experience. So anything relating to notifications within Viva Engage, I look over that area. And I'd say my favorite community, actually, I would echo Aditi. I love the product talk and ideas community. I think it's a great way to kind of source ideas and input and feedback. So yeah, just really, really cool to kind of have a community to gather all these ideas and shared views together.
So great. Okay, so we switched the views. So now Steve is at the Big Kids table. So thank you guys so much for sharing a little bit about yourselves. And if you missed the first couple of seconds of the YouTube live, we have gathered a variety of questions prior to this. We know a few of you have posted questions on the tech community page. We see them, we see you. Thank you for joining. We'll answer those as well. So if you have more questions as they come up, feel free to post them. Yeah, and we'll go ahead and get started. So before we kind of dig into all the nitty gritty, let's take a step back, and I want to ask Mike Holste of kind of give us a little bit of background about the rebranding and why, and maybe just a short 1-2 minute thing of why was Yammer even rebranded in the first place?
Yeah, thanks. I'd love to. And many of you folks have been on this journey with us, but Yammer was a Microsoft acquisition. What it would now be 11 years ago. Time has certainly flown by. And as such, it was really designed to be built into the Office 365 offering, and it was a full player in the Office 365 suite, powering social experiences, community experiences. Over the years, our product strategy shifted a little bit, and Skype for Business evolved and added SharePoint on the back end to become Microsoft Teams. And Yammer found itself in this area of employee engagement. So, connecting employees, connecting leadership to employees, powering virtual events, powering all of like the soft side of how people work together, as well as accelerating communities of practice and communities of interest, things that we now really attribute to employee experience. The pandemic shifted everything about the way that people work and moved us all into a digital workspace, moved us into Microsoft Teams, moved us into community or calling blocks all the time. And we saw this really big need for a greater employee experience suite. Therefore, we put our pencils back down to paper and created Microsoft Viva. Now, Microsoft Viva, the promise of it was that it came through Microsoft Teams, which was now the place where we found more and more of our customers doing more and more of their job and spending more of their time. That put us into a tricky area because Yammer already had this Yammer Communities app for Microsoft Teams. And with Yammer being a part of Office 365, there was this big gap in how would Yammer also contribute into Microsoft Viva, because you can't have this employee experience suite without the app that has historically been focused around employee engagement, which is Yammer. So we kind of found ourselves at the end of the road we need to make a decision because there's so much customer confusion. And we're meeting with customers, we're meeting with small businesses, we're meeting with Fortune 500 customers, and there's all this confusion about we have Yammer in the browser, we have Yammer mobile experience, we have Yammer Communities app, and we have the Yammer Communities app for both Outlook and Teams. And what do we do with this? How do we rationalize this? How do we deliver world-class experiences in Teams under this new banner of Microsoft Viva, but while we still have kind of this legacy name for this app? And in that time, Yammer had been entirely rebuilt from the ground up. It had been, the first fluent UI app for Microsoft. If you had used Yammer in 2018 versus used it in 2020, you're looking at an entirely different experience. So we got some feedback from MVPs, we got feedback from customers, and we put our heads together internally. And the decision was made that we needed to allow Yammer to really enter the discussion as a Microsoft Viva experience, therefore Microsoft Viva Engage. And we tried to come up with a name that was really evident about what it does. It engages people. It allows people to engage back to their organization. It gives people a voice, allows people to connect across their silos, across departments. And our first step on that journey was, of course, the Yammer Communities app for Teams. It was a natural starting point because it fulfilled that promise of having Microsoft Viva come through in the hub for teamwork. So that's kind of the backstory, and that journey started last year. We announced the rebrand of the Communities app. This February, we announced the broader plan to entirely rebrand Yammer into Microsoft Viva, there was a kind of that two-state world for a little bit, and we continued to be asked to simplify this story. So we ended up here with Microsoft Viva Engage, and we've continued to see growth. We've continued to see excitement of it. We've continued to see customers kind of come back to the table to see what's been new. We've added a ton of experiences. We've added a ton of capabilities for it, and we're really excited so far about the progress. With that, that was enough. Pass it back.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I want to ask, and Valeria, you can take this as well. What has just recently been rebranded? What is the most recent? And yeah, kind of talk about what's just been rebranded, because Mike's kind of give us the backstory, but yeah, what's brand new in the last few weeks?
Great question. So basically 2 weeks ago, we finally rebranded the web experience. And now Yammer.com, and it looks like Engage. So you can see several UI changes, still the same features and functionality you love. Everything is still there, just now it looks a bit different. And honestly, I feel like it looks better, like it looks something refreshing.
And then can you talk a little bit about, is this the right marketing term, the waffle? Should that have changed? Somebody posted a couple days ago that their waffle still had Yammer, but hopefully that has changed now. And then SharePoint, Embed, yeah, some of the other kind of bits and pieces where Yammer is found. Yammer was found a lot of different places in Microsoft 365. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, great questions. And what you said is true. Like we are engages, and it's good. We are spread across almost every M365 product, and those changes take some time, right? So we started on June 28th. We implemented the change, and it's rolling out. We started on that day. It's starting to show on all those surfaces. Hopefully, by the end of this week, we'll have everywhere with the Engage brand replacing the Yammer brand. It's taken a bit longer than our change on the website. It's normal. It's just that we are spread across so many surfaces, so many teams that we had to collaborate with. So it takes a bit longer, but hopefully by the end of this week, everyone should see the Engage icon on the waffle, also known as the M365 app launcher, and Embed and SharePoint. So yeah, just be patient, but it's rolling out, and you will be able to see that by the end of this week.
App launcher, that's much better. I was thinking hamburger.
Yeah.
Wasn't at one time it was called the hamburger? I might be dating myself. Okay, and then what about the mobile app? Evelyn, will you talk a little bit about the changes of the rebrand to the mobile app, to the Yammer mobile app, and kind of what did that look like, and what are the changes, and what can people expect?
Yes, as many of you were along with us for the journey early April when we rebranded the apps themselves. And as you all know, we continued to include the reference to Yammer in the Google Play and App Stores as well, to ensure that however you're referring to the app itself, users were able to find it. So we're going to continue to include that reference in the App Stores themselves to ensure that as everyone transitions over to calling it the new name, you can continue to find it where you want to. But the app itself has been fully rebranded since early April, and it will continue to remain that way. Yeah, I think I don't know if there's anything specific about it. I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, I was just when I was re-downloading, or not even re-downloading, it was fun for it to just like flip on my phone. Like I was like, oh,
yes.
This is great. It all just magically happened pretty seamlessly, and
yes,
I feel like I didn't have to work as hard. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me add on to that, because we did have lots of questions early on. So you don't need to go and delete the old app, reinstall some new app. It is the same exact app. So if you have auto updates on for the app itself, one day you'll just go and you'll see that it's just become Viva Engage. If you don't, then you will need to go into the App Store itself and click update, and then you'll see all the changes appear. So we've continued to make sure that if you look up Yammer and things like that, though, it'll come up. So hopefully we're all still getting used to it as well, even calling it Viva Engage. And
Yeah.
we're hoping to help you as much as possible, especially with the mobile apps themselves.
Yeah, great. And then one thing, and I don't know, maybe Steve or Mike, if you want to take this about the admin center, that's kind of started to be rebranded more on the Viva Engage app in Teams and kind of has now also transitioned to the web. So I don't know if there's anything else to add there, but there's more and more functionality coming out as the web kind of, I'll say it becomes more modern on the web as well, to be able to control things from the Viva Engage Admin Center on the web. So that's coming out. I don't know, anything else to add for the Admin Center?
I'll just add that overall, as we've been going on the rebranding journey, it gives us greater surface area to make sure that things are consistent across teams, the Teams experience, and also, like you said, Allison, in the web experience. And then as we continue to release new capabilities, we'll continue to make those options available within the new Engage Admin Center for configuration and so that our customers can configure things the way they need them to. So that'll continue to evolve.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
The only thing I'd add to that is if it's been a minute since you've looked at the admin center, depending on your usage of Microsoft Viva, there are a couple new roles in there as well that will help you power knowledge experiences and campaigns and corporate communications experiences as well.
Which, great point, Mike. That's a great, it's a big point of emphasis and feedback that we've gotten from many of you around just needing additional admin roles, especially at sort of the new corporate communications role that we introduced to allow corporate communicators in your organization to have slightly different roles than sort of the IT administrator roles traditionally have had.
Great. Okay, switching gears really quickly, what is coming next? One of the biggest top questions is what happens with Yammer.com, the actual domain, the URL. So I don't know who wants to take this one and kind of the conversation of what's coming and maybe give a little bit of timeline. I think this might have been the #1 question asked internally and externally so far, because we've hit all of the other whack-a-moles of where Yammer was everywhere else. And so this feels like one of the big, the kind of the final pushover. So I don't know who wants to take this one. Feel free. Anybody?
I can jump in.
Okay,
in. So the domain /URL will be changing. Right now, you will continue to access Engage through Yammer.com, but by the end of this calendar year, we will be changing that to align to our branding. So that is a bigger change, and we want to make sure that we do it right. We will be supporting any legacy URLs. If you have saved your URLs in any documentation, you have shared those along with any colleague, no worries. We will still support that forever and ever. You can still save any Yammer.com URLs now and in the future. But by the end of this calendar year, we'll be switching the URL to completely align with our branding, and with that, everywhere you see, it will say Engage. But for now, starting now till the end of this calendar year, you will continue to access Yammer.com and see Engage. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, definitely by the end of this calendar year, we will do that change. We will send out all communications with enough time in advance so you can plan ahead and make sure that you can communicate that across your companies. But just be patient, and we will be sharing that information. No worries on that.
Great. Another question that was asked about what is coming next. Anything else coming next? I know one of our customers was asking, will the email digest kind of receive rebranding as well? I don't know who would want to take that one. I can also share what I know as well. Oh, Emily. Yeah, of course. Emily, feel free.
Yes, I can definitely address this one. So we are actually in the process of working on our email rebranding right now. We have actually mapped out, there's a lot of emails that need to be rebranded. So we're actually taking a phased approach in making sure we get, the most important ones kind of done first, and then we'll slowly roll out the rest. But yes, that is a work in progress, and we'll definitely have more to share on this one.
Great. All right. The other kind of big question I wanted to ask about was APIs. I know that this question also gets asked often and anytime we post any kind of conversation. And Aditi, will you please answer the API question? Because I know that that definitely gets asked.
Yes, I'll be happy to answer that. And it is a good question. So at this time, we are not looking to update the API. The legacy API will continue to function as before. However, we do acknowledge that most of the major workloads in Microsoft are publishing their APIs on MS Graph, and that is an avenue we are exploring. And we do not have a formal roadmap and timelines for the new Viva Engage suite on MS Graph API. However, I can share that we are going to start small, maybe 1 or 2 APIs to begin with, and then we will opportunistically build the new Viva Engage suite on MS Graph. And we'll be sharing updates as we know more. And in the interim, as I mentioned, the developer APIs that we have will keep functioning as before.
Okay, good. I know that that was always a hot topic. So thank you so much for sharing what is coming with them as well. Okay, so kind of shifting gears a little bit, I want to answer a question that is coming in live. Will the URL changes later this year be applied in the same time as external networks and internal networks? I don't know if we know that quite yet, and I don't know if there's any changes to the URL that would be specific differences from a tenant perspective. I don't know if we know that. Do we know anything about the domains difference for internal and external? Should not be anybody.
We can get back on this one, but essentially as the URLs change for your main network, they should apply also. We'll also should be updating the URLs for external networks as well. But we'll get back, Ramona, and just confirm on exactly how that will happen.
The specifics. Yeah, that's a really good question about the external networks. Don't want to forget about them. And then Emily, we had a question kind of come in about email addresses. And again, I don't know if we quite know this yet, but if we do, feel free to share. But what will the new email addresses be used for the email notifications in the future? Again, I don't know if we know this answer quite yet.
Yeah, I think we can take this as a follow-up because right now we're working on kind of understanding exactly what that new domain is going to be, how that's going to look when we actually have these emails sent out to users and customers. So we can take that as a follow-up as well.
Okay, great. All right, I'm just scrolling out a little bit more. Okay, I think we will go ahead and ask another question that comes up when we have our customer conversations. Maybe Steve, Robin, if you have anything to add for this, is what do you think admins and companies and our customers should be doing now and onwards? Now with the new branding, what should they be focusing on now? And Mike, too, feel free to jump in with this. Anything that they should be trying out or anything new that you think?
I'm happy to jump in. We see a lot of our customers, and it's definitely one of our recommendations to use this rebranding opportunity for some change management. If there's new goals that you're trying to accomplish through Viva Engage, new communities you're trying to kick off, new executives that you're trying to welcome or introduce to the organization, or just new ways in general that you want to try to accelerate culture growth or employee connectedness or employee experience, using the changes that users are going to be seeing is a great way to kind of get their attention to help introduce some of the new features and new experiences that we've been rolling out over the past couple of years. We've been doing this internally at Microsoft. I'm happy to provide a link. I've actually captured some of how we've introduced this at our own senior leadership level and at our own Microsoft level, kind of as a customer zero story. So it's just a really, really great opportunity while the conversation is around Viva Engage already to help your corporate communications team, help your IT teams understand all the benefits and value that they can get out of the platform.
Yeah,
I'd say
to
especially.
add to,
Oh, go ahead.
go for it.
Go ahead, Robin.
I was just going to underscore Michael's point here, which is don't just consider this as just a rebranding. I think the team has done a lot of hard work over the last 1 year to introduce new capabilities to add on top of what Yammer used to have. And I would strongly encourage, as admins, discover the new rebranded product. They should also kind of discover and try the new capabilities that we have kind of shipped over the past few months and few quarters, especially in the space of enabling leaders, enabling corporate communicators, and also community building and knowledge management. So I think we've kind of added more feathers to that Yammer hat, and which is what now has become Viva Engage. So just in terms of like as you refresh the brand, also kind of refresh the thinking and the thought process and the value that Yammer or Viva Engage brings to your company and your organization. Steve?
Yeah, the other thing I'd say is use this as an opportunity, especially for those of you that have been using Yammer for many years. We've been using it here at Microsoft as an opportunity to just celebrate the brand and celebrate, past history and past, just like Allison brought up, what's your favorite community? What's your favorite thread? What's the, what conversation helped you? So really, raising and highlighting some of the historic usage that you might have already had. We've been highlighting, past posts and celebrating past customers, and so there are things that you could consider doing. To Mike's point, using it as a moment to really promote and celebrate a lot of the usage and knowledge that you all have been sharing in your networks for many years now.
Evelyn might have one more thing to add, but I was going to say, encourage your folks to download the mobile apps if they can. I know this might be a good opportunity to kind of push that. I don't know, Evelyn, feel free to chime in. I feel like this is a good kind of say, hey guys, don't forget, we actually have these. So many of our customers didn't even know. So yeah.
Yes, we are, and you'll see over the next few months as well, we are actively doing as much as we can to help here in order to make sure that you have that channel of reach to your users themselves, right? We've noticed that the retention and the engagement is significantly higher for folks who are engaging from the Viva Engage mobile app. So we're doing everything we can there in order to help as well. And we're always open to any feedback you may have as well in order to see, how we can best help people be aware about the mobile apps themselves, whether it be templates or, you'll see soon we're shipping out a QR code to make it easier for people to just, pop up their phones, scan a code, download the apps and whatnot. So
yeah,
definitely.
That's great. Okay, we're going to take a couple of the questions that have come in from the tech community page. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the page. I know we've got a few questions as we have been talking through. So I will go ahead and read or summarize part of the question, and feel free to ask me to repeat as necessary, and feel free to take as you need. The first one is a little bit of rebranding and a little bit of Viva Engage notifications as a whole. So Emily, I think this one will probably go for you. They are asking about notifications all in one place, about top level control, personalization. We only use Teams. Some of our customers don't use Teams. There was a lot of likes and kind of upvoting for this question. So kind of tell us a little bit more about, I'll say, the future of notifications in Viva Engage in general. And then can this be changed in bulk as an admin? I know that's often a question we get from our customers as well. So yeah, give us a little bit about what's coming and what's planned for notifications in general.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I think just to provide some more background and context on notifications today, if a user does have multiple channels enabled, such as mobile, as well as if they're an active user within the Viva Engage product, they will be receiving sometimes the same notification across different channels. And the reason for that is because, a lot of our user base tends to focus on one channel versus another. And so we do have, multiple ways to notify a user today. But what's coming in the new experiences, we're actually looking at really optimizing how we deliver these notifications. We do recognize that oftentimes if a user has all channels enabled, this will create more noise and volume. And so this is something we're actively looking to address this quarter. We're experimenting and kind of seeing what makes the most sense, but we will look to send out these notifications in a much more intelligent and user-centric method moving forward. So that's kind of like what's to come. So there will definitely be more there, lots more to share there. And then to really address the piece about notification settings. So today, yes, within the Viva Engage product, you will be able to, manage your email settings. And if you want to manage, let's say, Teams, you will have to go into Teams to manage and go into settings and choose the Viva Engage notification settings. But similarly, we're actually on a really positive track to kind of rethink our whole user settings altogether as it relates to notifications. And our end goal is to actually have one location where a user can go and customize all the different channels that they're receiving. So we have actually done some product thinking there already. We're working with our designers to really rethink how that experience can be built directly within Viva Engage. So that will also be coming. So yeah, hopefully this will help address the 2 points highlighted here.
Great. Valeria, I have a couple questions for you. Somebody asked how much longer for the web experience to switch to viva.com and then the app launcher. I think you addressed it earlier, but just maybe reiterate and and if people don't see it by maybe a certain day, what should they do? Or how should they let us know?
Absolutely. Yeah, so everything should be changing or finally change by the end of this week. Like I said, it's a phased rollout. We verify every step so that we don't break anything. So that's why it's taking a bit longer. But everything should be rebranded by the end of the week. In case this is not happening, you can reach out to us through the customer connection community. But we will be monitoring everything to make sure that this changes by the end of this week. So just let us know if this doesn't happen, but it should be happening ready by Friday 14th.
Should they submit a support ticket or?
Yeah.
And is it really Friday the 13th? Is it really? Or the 14th? Okay.
Yeah. It's not that spooky. Yeah, no. Yeah, this should be a ticket or
okay.
If they have any open conversation, just follow up on that one. But yeah, support ticket could be the best bet. Okay.
Great. And then similar for the app launcher too. Okay, great. So we will have that one. A couple of questions have come in about, let me just scroll up and see if I can find this. Steve, I think this will be a good one for you to answer. Hold on one second. Hold on. What is there a way to test the new Viva Engage features in a test environment or by a trial before enabling them in our instance? And then kind of a similar question, Mike, you might be able to chime in as well, is, how do we kind of try some of these things out? Go ahead. Feel free, Steve.
A couple ways you can do this. We are offering trials for the new Viva Engage premium experiences. So if you just want to, try some of these experiences out before you need to license them, you can do that. Start by reaching out to your account team. I can also put a link in. I'll respond. I think this was maybe Marie's question. I can put a link also if you want to just enroll or let us know if you're interested in a trial directly. That's also available. As far as sort of test environments, that's entirely up to our customers. We have a lot of our customers that do have their own test tenants in which they might even purchase licenses for some of these capabilities in their test tenants to be able to preview some of these capabilities. So that's certainly an option if you have a test tenant available to you in your organization. Otherwise, like I said, we do offer trials in your production environments for some of these new capabilities as well. So couple ways you can go about that.
Great. And then I don't know if there's the question was to ever launch Viva Engage special features as a basic package for large companies, but the features would be useful to promote Viva Engage for the company. Mike, I don't know if you want to answer that.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. So We are looking at some ways that you could alternatively get Microsoft Viva Engage without the entire suite-wide license. We're a little early on how that plan is going to come together, so stay tuned. I'm sure that you will eventually hear about it from us or your account teams. I can't share publicly at exactly this time. It's not to say that it will be necessarily available entirely as a standalone, but we are looking for some additional ways to get it into the hands of customers who are interested. And to go back to Steve's point, I think the best way in the meantime, if you want to try these out and kind of show them off internally to drive adoption or usage, would be through going through a trial.
Great. Thanks so much. Okay, here's a question about communities. I definitely, maybe Steve, if you want to answer this one. Will we ever have the option to mention a community that pulls in the name and URL, just like you're mentioning a person? And then maybe if you can share a little bit about what's coming with communities, feel free to do that as well, if there's any change.
We've thought about this capability of it's sort of like an announcement in a way, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you mention a community, so in some ways we think this capability exists. Other feedback that we've gotten is, can we post to multiple communities? So I think maybe Teresa, you're also thinking about sort of that scenario, like mention multiple communities or post something that goes across communities. As far as posting to multiple communities, that is something that the team is actively looking at, especially when you look at some of the new capabilities that we introduced around leadership identification and audience identification. One of the areas that we've heard from customers that have been using some of these capabilities is that when a leader does, let's say, an announcement on their storyline, they want it to be able to go to maybe multiple audiences at one time, or maybe there's a specific communication that needs to go to a particular audience instead of the entirety of that leader's audience. So those are some things that we're focused on, creating some flexibility in how people can send messages, send announcements out specific to and target specific audiences. That's probably the most near-term thing that we're working on. And yeah, I think down the road we might still be considering things like, you know, posting to multiple communities at one time, but right now we're focused on sort of the audience identification and audience targeting pieces.
Great. Do we have any other questions kind of coming in? I'm kind of looking through. I think we've answered quite a few of them live. If there's any other questions, feel free to pop them in, and then we will go ahead and wrap up. Any other questions?
There was this one question around integrations and how deep Engage's integrations are going to be across M365.
Yeah.
I think somebody mentioned a couple of features like bookmarks and stuff. I'd love to answer this question on a more higher level. Philosophically speaking, the way that we can approach integrations of Viva Engage across other products in the M365 suite is that we want to meet users where they work, in their flow of work. And the idea here is, in the spirit of the mission of Microsoft, is to make our users as productive as possible on their work, which is why we don't want them to switch their context. That if there's something which is important, something which is relevant, something which is interesting for them in their flow of work, it should meet them where they work. If they're working through Outlook, if they're working in Teams, if they're working in SharePoint or some of the other apps in the M365 suite. We already have a bunch of deep integrations. As an example, Emily spoke about the rich interactive email notifications that we have in Outlook. It was designed specifically in a way where Outlook users, can consume the most important and relevant information for them in that moment in their Outlook inbox without having to switch. So you can comment on a post, you can like something, you can react to something, and you can do anything that you can usually do when you go to either Viva Engage or Yammer.com on that specific conversation. And similarly, we've built integrations in Teams. We have this Viva Engage app that exists as an extensibility app in Teams. We have notifications which get plumbed in through the Teams notification or activity center, and users can actually follow that and consume the information that they want. So in general, that's our philosophy. We want to make users as productive as they can be. and meet the users with the most important and relevant information in the flow of work. We will continue to go deeper and deeper in this integration to create a more simple, more intuitive experience for our users. Right now, it might seem, especially when we talk about notifications, it might seem as if it's a little bit of a clutter, and we'll kind of, as Emily's team kind of looks up to improve and enhance our notifications framework in the future. But in regards to specific features, I would say watch this space for more to come. We are working and partnering with the Teams team, the Outlook team, SharePoint, and so on and so forth, in building a more kind of native, more intuitive experience for the users for some of these capabilities that were listed down in that question. So yeah, more to come here in that space. But yeah, if anybody else wants to add to that.
Robin, I'd love you to take our customers behind the scenes a little bit more too, because it's not just something we take lightly, right? It's sort of easy to say, why don't you just make bookmarks the same across the suite? Or why don't you just put the follow button everywhere in Teams and in Outlook? And it just specific, like that follow button example. If we were to put a follow button and have it on the people card in Teams, we have to think about, what does that mean for a user if they click that follow button? What does that mean in Teams to follow somebody? Versus it's sort of an obvious gesture to follow somebody in Engage. So it's not as easy as just like plopping things around and making sure, like having the same thing everywhere. We sort of have to really think holistically about the user experience. Maybe if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. And those are some of the decisions that we take very seriously. Obviously, there's this alignment that we need to build across the M365 suite, across the integration that we're working with. And like Steve mentioned, it should have a purpose. If there's anything that we're introducing, and it should make sense in the experience or the context that it exists in. So we really do a lot of user research. We do a lot of customer research. We ask people if that makes sense. We build these explorations. So kind of, I don't want to get too deep into the sausage making of things, but these kind of decisions take time. And we are glad that you are with us on that journey. I just want to show you folks that we will continue to go deeper into the hubs that your users work in or you work in, which is in Outlook and Teams and SharePoint. And you should expect more to come in this space from us.
The last thing I'd say is that we're also continuing to explore experiences across Viva. So again, like Mike said, with Viva being our employee experience platform, we want to make sure that our experiences are integrated. We already have, it's from an Engage perspective, we have integrations with Viva Connections, Viva Topics, and of course answers in Viva. But going forward, you can expect us to introduce more things. We're exploring further integrations with places like Glint, also Viva Goals as well. So nothing to announce just yet today, but just know that there are continued explorations and discussions about further integrations across Viva.
Yeah, I love it. All right, here's a good question. To keep people engaged and adoption levels up, will non-premium end users ever have an opportunity to personalize their profile cover photo? And a question about the availability of stories. So I don't know, Steve, Mike, you guys want to take that one?
For the first half of the question around the ability to upload, personalize their profile picture, I believe this is something that historically you could do in Yammer. We've since kind of snapped it to the same profile picture and identity fields as you get through Microsoft 365. And I think that was due to customer demand, that people wanted the same experience. If you hover over someone's profile in Viva Engage, you want it to be the same profile with the same fields, same data as how you would see them in the gallery or how you would see them in Outlook or across the rest of the suite. So I don't know that we have anything on our timeline or on our roadmap around individual profile personalization.
I think it was about the cover photos.
Oh, I think maybe it's referring to the cover
Storyline
photo on Storyline and that being part of the premium offering. And that's something we might come back and reconsider at some point. I think right now, I think the initial decision was to make it part of the overall premium license. But I think the other thing to consider is that there's lots of other capabilities that we think provide value in our premium offering. I know sometimes it can be Sometimes we hone in on specific capabilities, but that might be something that we reconsider at some point. But the initial decision was to have it part of the premium offering.
And then happy to take the second part around stories. So this is an area where we've kind of changed tacks. I know that we went into preview with stories, maybe almost 10 months ago. In that time, we've seen storyline usage really, really accelerate. We've seen a lot of customers have a lot of success with storyline, both from an executive standpoint and from an individual user standpoint, of people expressing themselves, sharing their perspectives, connecting, following, discovering interesting people across their organization. And the way that they share media in that is a little different than how we had first suspected and how we had first kind of specced out the stories experience. And we want to make sure that when we share media, that we are not just sharing it into this separate container. We want it to be available in someone's storyline. We want it to be naturally part of something that they post. There were questions about the permanence or impermanence of just sharing individual images. So pretty quick here, we are going to be publishing a blog and providing an update on how that's going to shift. All of the capabilities, all of the things that you could do will still be there, but how we refer to it and how we kind of compartmentalize it in our heads and within the product is going to shift a little bit. We're likely going to change from calling it stories, which has this really social media connotation around how folks use it, and go with something a little bit more generic around just sharing media, so that it doesn't come at the expense of people using those storyline capabilities. So stay tuned. That is coming right around the bend. And then once we've provided that clarity, we'll be rolling out the product. The purpose of this call isn't really to share our exact roadmap on every single feature. I want to make sure that we stay true to our rebranding guidance here, but I'm happy to say that we will likely get this calendar year in its new form generally available, and I think that we're okay to say that here, just because this feature's kind of been knocking around for so long.
Yeah, Mike, and overall, our goal with stories in general was really to honor that demographic of people that want to consume content more visually, and also people that want to share content more visually. And to your point, while we're shifting slightly away from the way that stories exist currently in a public preview format, I think what our customers will see, and just some from the initial conversations I've had with customers about it, they'll be really excited about what we're doing to really honor the visual nature of photos and video, and just really highlight it within the feed and highlight the way that it shows up in Engage.
Yeah. I don't know if this is specific to the rebranding, but maybe Steve, you can answer about this. What about the timing for accessibility options for videos, controlling captions, translations, things like that? Do you have anything to add for that?
Yeah, that's actually a good transition from the last question, because a lot of the work that we're doing around the focus on media is we're also doing it in conjunction with the stream team. So you might know any video that you upload into Engage gets stored in SharePoint, also managed and delivered through Stream. And so a very tight partnership between our team and Stream to deliver these capabilities. As a result, any new capabilities that Stream delivers will also inherit within Engage. So the Stream team is working on automatic transcription of videos. In fact, I've seen it in our Microsoft network, so it's coming soon to customers. So when you upload a video into Engage, it'll automatically transcribe in English initially to show those transcriptions or show those closed captions automatically. There is on the Stream roadmap to also have automatic translation of those transcriptions, although I don't know that they have a committed roadmap timing for that, but I know that that's on their radar. But I know at least initially the automatic translation in English of videos is coming soon.
Great. Here's another question, more specifically about enhancements. I'm assuming beyond the rebranding, about SharePoint. I can't see who asked this question, but it said right now it just takes up so much real estate on the page. So maybe they're talking about the web part. Anybody want to tackle that one about how Viva Engage shows up in SharePoint?
I can jump on that. Right now, I think our long-term plan is to rebrand what's now known as the Yammer Conversations web part for SharePoint to inherit Viva Engage branding, and of course, all the functionality will stay the same. In terms of like padding and the white space in it. I can't speak to the exact design of it right now. I would think that it would probably be a pretty similar code base. It would just be the branding that would shift. However, I'm happy to also offer a workaround. If you're using Viva Connections, you could get your Viva Engage community content, your conversations and announcements from the content you follow, in your feed in Viva Connections as an alternative. Of course, that doesn't help if you want to follow an exact, just specific community and you only want the feed from that community as opposed to from all of your network activity. But that would be my only thing to share. I don't think we have any plans at the moment, but when we're looking at that rebranding, it's something we can definitely bring up to the product team to consider giving to making it a little bit more dense so it doesn't take up quite so much space.
Yeah, I think in general, we are constantly kind of evolving the styles and fonts and the way that conversation looks. We are currently exploring multiple ways in which a conversation can be represented, which is not to say that we have some planned work specifically for SharePoint integration, but anything that we improve in our core components in terms of the user experience, in terms of the look and feel, all of those can get ported over to any of the experience that we have across the M365 suite. So in general, I think this is a great feedback for us on us to go back and think about if we can bring some newer styles into the SharePoint web part, conversation web part as well.
Good. Okay, I think this will be probably the final question. I just had it. Hold on. Oh, what about the rebranding future for the Yammer external networks? Steve, I don't know if you want to kind of land on that one, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so the rebranding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Vale, but the rebranding will still affect and show up in external networks. That'll be the extent to the changes that, and URLs should update as well. We'll have a confirmation on what that'll actually look like. We'll follow up on that. But overall, yeah, all the branding will still apply to external networks as well. There was a broader question about what's the roadmap for external networks. Really, for us, it's a prioritization exercise. We'd like to come back and spend some more time in making external networks and improving external networks and improving the overall experiences, bringing the new Yammer experience into external networks and upgrading that experience. There's connecting into AAD and making having similar experiences as with Microsoft 365 groups and external networks. All those are big efforts, and unfortunately, there are just other things that we've had to prioritize above that also focus on some external capabilities, and I can't talk too much about that. Mike will wring my neck if I step on his Inspire announcements that are coming out next week, but stay tuned to Inspire next week for some announcements as well. But on the external network front, we hear you. We continue to support external networks fully, so no changes there. We'll update when we have a little bit more information on when we can spend a little bit more time updating the experiences in external networks.
Great. Thank you guys all so much. It has been wonderful to have this conversation with you all live, and then the questions coming in. We really appreciate all of the different conversations we've had with customers from around the globe, and feel free to continue to post your questions in the Viva Engage community on the tech community. We will be monitoring those and kind of answering questions as you see fit. And then again, that is where the updates and more product news will be showing up in the Viva Engage blog and all the other Engage blog, or all the other Viva blogs as well on the tech community. So stay tuned. We have lots more to share. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining, everyone.